What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Guys Like You podcast, episode 5. We're doing pretty well. 5 weeks. Pete, hello.
What's up? What's up?
So we're gonna be a little short tonight. Not on length, but of members of the team. Everybody's got something going on tonight. Destiny, hello. Preston, hello. Welcome in. Destiny's in the TikTok chat. She says hello, Uncle PJ.
Hey, what's up, Des?
So we got a couple of guys got to work. AJ, Cito, they're working. DeGrace, hopefully back next week. Doing the dad thing, the dad duties with the newborn. God bless him. I don't know how you and him do it. I could not do that anymore. Tubbs, I think he's a little busy, so we're like I said, it's just us tonight. Critter, I think, is going to jump in here hopefully within this hour, and we're going to pick his brain a little bit. If you're not from our local area, the guy that's going to be coming on here in a little bit, his name is Critter Maldonado. He's a very well-known barber in the area. I've known Critter since we were kids, and he started cutting hair when we were younger, and now he has his own business. He's had his own business for several years, very successful barber business, does very well for himself. So we kind of want to pick his brain, see what kind of stuff he can offer to the younger generation that maybe want to get started in, being a barber or just anything in general. I think is a very good thing to get the information from someone who's been through it. Pete, did you see what happened? I want to touch on the quick sports thing. Did you see what happened the other day in the NBA Finals with Tyrese Halliburton?
No, I didn't see it.
So
I mean, I saw some stuff, but maybe I don't know.
He blew his Achilles out, and for you guys that are in here, I know we got a couple females in here. For you guys that are in here, I don't know how you feel about it, but I can tell you that my biggest fear as an adult, and I don't know why, this was never a fear as a child, or a teenager playing sports, but my biggest fear as an adult is blowing my Achilles out, and I don't know why. Like, I think it's maybe as an adult, we've seen more injuries to the Achilles, and maybe that's why, which I did say today, I don't understand. As kids, it was always knees. I felt like people were always messing their knees up, twisting ankles, high ankle sprains, stuff like that. When you watch...
I feel like it's a longer recovery.
Oh yeah, it's insane. It's like a year, I think. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know why. Like as an adult, like I'm so afraid that I'm just gonna blow my Achilles out when I go do something.
Well, we're old, bro. That's the problem. We're old. We can't move the way young kids do.
Yeah, but even these young kids are blowing their Achilles out like crazy. Like I don't understand it. I feel like at least, didn't that just happen to Jason Tatum too, the other basketball player? I feel like in this playoffs, it's 2 now. 2 big stars in the NBA too, that blew their Achilles out, which I just can't imagine. I feel like I'm just gonna walk and it's gonna pop one day, and it's terrifying to me. Ugh. Just quick sporting news. If you don't really follow along, I don't really follow the NBA, but the Oklahoma City Thunder did win the NBA championship, and the Florida Panthers won back-to-back NHL titles, which is crazy. Good for them. If you're just joining us for the first time, we do this every week, Tuesdays, 8 o'clock. We're trying to get more people involved. We're a group of guys, a group of friends. A couple of us are in our 40s, me and Pete. A couple of us are close to 50, Petey, and some younger guys. But we all got families, and we've all come up from different upbringings and different walks of life. And I think we all have a lot that we can, offer. A lot of parents, but I would say a lot of dads that I think struggle, coming into that fatherhood of how to handle it and what to do. And I think I think it gets lost because you see a lot of these podcasts, a lot of these celebrities that tell you how to live your life and how to do this and how to be a parent and how to be a dad. And I want to really get into tonight what I think is lost in today's society, and that's the role of the male, and when it comes to the family. So I just think that if you can learn one thing from us, it's going to be hopefully just how to be a decent dad to your kids and to be maybe a better spouse to whoever you are. Infidel, thank you for the follow over on the Purple app. Appreciate it, man. I'm glad you were able to jump in. I know we've been waiting to get you around. So Pete, I want to hear from you, and I want to hear what you think the guy's role in society and in your family should be. Like, what are you going to teach? I mean, you have two young men still, one out on his own, one still at home, and then of course we have our oldest that is doing his duty. What do you think is the biggest hurdle that young men face now when it comes to, being a man in today's society?
Well, you got to be a hard worker.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you got to work hard in life, because if you don't work hard, you're not getting nowhere. I think trying to raise two young men, it's a challenge, because now in society, kids think they know everything. And I think us old generation, we got raised where the husbands or the men are the ones that try to take care of the family. Things are different nowadays, and I try telling my boys, like, you got to work hard no matter what to get somewhere. If you're in a relationship works both ways. You got biggest thing in a relationship is communication. No communication, it's rough.
Very.
I think be respectful.
And I think that's just real quick to jump in. I think that's one thing that's just lost on the generation now when it comes to young men and even young women. I just think the generation now seems to be not as respectful, and I see a lot of people, and this isn't just like kids, like it goes into like their 20s, like, and even some adults. I think people are way too comfortable in society now with being disrespectful to people. And I think that technology is one thing that's added to it, because people will be disrespectful not only in not only online, but now they'll be disrespectful in people's face, because you know what? Hey, I got a phone. Let me go record me being a jerk to this elderly person, or this not even an elderly person, somebody that's older than me. Like I would never, as a child, like disrespect my elder. I mean, granted, I had some arguments with my mom and stuff like that. I think we all had arguments with our parents, but like to go out into the world and disrespect people the way you see it nowadays is insane to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard in this generation, because kids do. I mean, I coach football, and I coach 18-year-old kids, and they talk back. They don't have respect for old somebody older than them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm tough. Some of the kids do listen to me. I mean, at the end of the season, I see a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Kids respect kids. Some kids show respect, and they appreciate the way you are. And I get it. For an example, this season, I had kids that didn't want nothing to do with football.
Mm-hmm.
They finished the season. The parents reached out. They're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe the relationship you have with my kid."
Mm-hmm.
But that's how it should be. We should be teaching these kids
Mm-hmm.
how
Doc,
to be
welcome in.
young men.
Yeah, 100%. And uh, hold on, there's a quick pause. Critter is gonna be working in here in any minute. So apologies for that. All right. Doc, again, welcome in. So Pete, you know how I feel about that. You know, so I don't Doc, appreciate the heart, me and Destiny, and thank you for the roses. I don't understand how parents think that it's even remotely okay to one, be disrespectful to a coach, be disrespectful to an official. First of all, what me and you do, Cloud, thank you for the likes, I appreciate it. We volunteer our time. At one point, I used to get paid to do this, but we volunteer our time.
Yep.
If you don't like the way that your child is being coached, there are steps to take. But getting in the face of the child's coach, I'm good. How are you? Getting in the face of an official at the game, you are not teaching. Now, I'm just going to say this when it comes to football, because that's what we do. You are not teaching these young men how to be young men. You are.
Kids follow their role model.
That's right. Attitude reflects leadership.
Yep.
So, and that's my favorite quote from Remember the Titans, is that attitude reflects leadership. And that applies for the rest of your life. You know, if as a child you're seeing your parents disrespect your coach, disrespect an official, you're going to do the same thing. And when you become an adult, you're going to disrespect your boss. And then guess what? You're not going to have a job. Now, don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean that you don't stand up for yourself. Because I've had some pretty, excuse my language, asshole bosses before. And I have stuck up for myself, and I've stuck up for those around me. But you don't go looking for it. You know, you stick up for yourself and you stick up for others, but that's it. And to think that it's okay that you can walk out in front of everyone and say, oh, hey, you know, and scream in a coach's face, screaming in an official's face. What kind of parent are you? And what kind of example are you setting? Now, Pete, we know, you know, there was a lot of things that happened this year with football that I did not agree with.
Yep.
I did not go screaming in anybody's face. I did not go lose my cool on any other coaches.
Just give an example. You saw me.
Yep. And
I was trying to I was nice, calm, and collected every time those coaches were yelling at me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was trying to ease the problems, and it just I had a role. I'm on the board. I was trying to diffuse the issue, and people just acted stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And the some kids were scared because of the way they were acting. Some kids fed off of it, and they started acting like them.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is again, it's an example thing. If the young men that you are leading see you acting a certain way, they are going to act that way because they think it's okay. They think this is the appropriate way to act. Whether it comes to you don't like how a call goes, you lost a game, lose graciously. Don't freak out. And I've seen it in Pop Warner. This isn't just, and I've seen it in high school, and you don't really see it. You see coaches get fired up at higher levels, but they get paid a lot of money, so they can't afford not to be there when they're supposed to be there. But on the young levels, man, you're trying to mold these young men, and you're not doing them any favors by acting the way that you act in front of them, screaming and yelling at officials, other coaches, anything like that. And anyone that thinks it's okay, you need to go check yourself, because it's not okay. If you can teach your kids now how to handle adversity and how to handle things that they don't like, they're going to do a lot better in life down the line. Again, we talked about this last week. This comes from the being a wolf and not a sheep. So, anyways, Pete, I know we went off on a rant when it comes to that, because we both witnessed a lot of stuff this weekend when it comes to sports. Yeah. I think I'm almost sure, if I just seen it right, I think Critter has joined us. I know he's just learning the Discord. So, Critter, are you there?
Hold up, I can't hear you that good yet. Hold up.
Woo! Brought the video in.
What's up, Critter?
I know how to do it.
There you go.
Chilling.
Yo, what up, though? So how come the volume is so low?
I don't know. I don't use the phone, so I'm not entirely sure.
Hold on, let me see if I could try to get this.
You gotta crank that
speaker,
thing.
All right. What's that?
You gotta crank that thing up.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see why this ain't on the speaker. How come am I supposed to be able to see you guys?
The Discord, we don't. Let me see. I've never actually used it like this. Let me see here. See if this works. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't.
Oh, see, now I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Well, that's good.
What happened before? How did that happen?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't usually use use it like that.
You don't use the video option?
Oh, I have a streaming thing that I use it from. Once I figure out how to do all that, we'll be even better. So, for those of you just joining us, Critter, welcome in.
What's up, guys?
I just want to give a quick background. Critter is a local businessman. He owns the Next Level Barbershop in New Hartford. Been doing this for a long time, and we thought it'd be good to bring Critter on here to kind of pick his brain about just being a young man, because Critter started really young with the barber profession and being a businessman, to pick his brain and see how that goes, and what steps and what advice he can give to today's young men, or even young women that are aspiring to maybe start their own business from scratch. So, Critter, I want you to give us a little background, give us your start, and I already know all this, but I would love for you to share it with the viewers about just how you got started with everything.
First of all, thank you for choosing me to be on here. I try to support anything local. I love seeing not only our friends, but young people do things. And I just think it's cool, man, when people do different things on different platforms to help promote local business and talent. And I think that's really cool, man. So I appreciate you asking me to do this. We've been cool forever. So, it was a no-brainer for me. But yeah, man, started at 14 years old. My brother used to cut hair for a while. So when my brother first got started, my brother Louis, God rest his soul, when he first got started, he was cutting hair for a couple years. So we always had clippers around the house and everything. And I picked it up just from watching him and just having him around the house. And eventually I kept cutting, man, and I got better. And finally, when I got really good, my brother was like, hey, man, if you're good at it, then you just do it, and he stopped doing it, and he told me to do it, and I ran with it from there. So just cutting out of my house when I was living with my parents in my teenage years, cutting out of my house up until 19 years old. At 19, I got into a barbershop, January of 2002. And then later that year, August of 2002, we ended up moving. The guy I was working with ended up moving out of town, and the shop became mine right before my 20th birthday. So from there, just had the business for about almost a year by myself, and then became partners with somebody, Garrett. You remember him, Fluff?
Yep.
Yeah. So him and I became partners, and that's when we came up with Line 'em Up Barbershop, man. And that's pretty much where business started. Like was 2002, and from there I was on Mohawk Street, a couple different spots, for about 8.5 years, and then come 2010 is when I opened the next level.
Mhm.
I knew we needed a bigger spot. I worked for about 8.5 years straight, just saving up. Always knew I wanted a bigger spot, and then just got a bigger spot in New Hartford in 2010. And when I opened that up, just it took me a while to get the team that I wanted, because I wanted quality more than anything. So
Mhm.
it took me a while to get the team I wanted, but you know how our guys are. Like the guys that are not only personable and talented, but good with other people, and good around kids and moms, and just good at business. So and now this year will be 15 years we've been in this location.
Yeah, like
The
so.
best in town, brother. The
Yep,
best in
best
town.
best there is, in my opinion. Like I remember I don't think PJ was around for that, but I remember the Mohawk Street location. Like,
That's how I met him. You're the one that took me to Mohawk, and I met Critter.
okay,
I remember.
okay.
I remember.
Well, my my memory's going in the old age compared to you guys. So, but man, like the location that you had to where you are now is insane when you look at the quality of. I mean, you were young and you were cutting hair in a little spot. It had 2 chairs. I remember sitting on the windowsill, bullshitting, spending all day in the shop.
Yeah.
And now you're at what is it? 8 chairs? Am I right? 8.
Yep.
You're at 8 chairs. It's a huge place, and I love going in there. And I laugh because my daughter's 14 now, and Critter, you remember I was bringing her in the barbershop when she was 3 years old.
Yeah.
And
remember when she used to say she worked?
Yep, she had a million jobs. She had more jobs at 3 years old.
I work.
Yeah, she had more jobs at 3 years old than we've had her entire life. But like I love the way you can bring your kids in, and if you were consistently in there, it's a family almost.
Yeah.
You watch each other's kids grow up in there. The attitude in the shop it's hard to even describe it. If you've never been into an actual barber shop to know what goes on in there, and yeah, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of ball busting in there.
Yeah, naturally.
But
I love it. I love it.
Just a feeling of friendship and just being around a bunch of guys and being able to act like a guy.
Yeah,
it is great, and that's why I love bringing my son with me. My son loves you guys, except for you when you try to cut his hair. I really think that as a guy, that's something that every father that has a son should definitely experience. Take your kid to a barbershop, get in with a good barber, and it's memories, man. You can just go in there and bullshit, and you're building memories with your kid.
Yeah. Honestly, man, one of my favorite things about the shop and the guys that we have is that not only do we have I feel like the most diverse clientele as far as age, ethnicities, the most diverse clientele around, but one of my favorite things is the fact that kids can come in, mothers can come in, fathers can come in and just chill and not have to worry about constant F-bombs or people talking about bitches and things like that. Like, people don't have to worry about things like that when they come in, because all our guys know, anybody I've ever hired knows from the jump, number one, we don't talk about people when they leave, and number two, we don't talk crazy in front of women and children. Like you said, with the guys, when there's just guys in there, it's whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
But not
I
in front of
I
family.
vouch for that. It's true.
Yep. And
when I bring my daughter in, I mean, I'm cutting my hair and she starts fussing. Here's Critter trying to keep her calm, or the other guys are jumping in trying to keep her calm and happy. Yep.
And I think
it's a good environment.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that you need to have. Like, you need to have a very welcoming environment to everyone, not just guys. Because there's a lot of single moms that are raising boys that got to bring their sons in somewhere. And as a parent, I would prefer to take my son to a barber. And just like you're not going to take don't get me wrong, there's females that go get their hair cut by barbers, but who's going to be able to cut a female's hair better, the guy or the girl? Probably the girl. Same thing with the guys. Well, yeah, same thing with the guys. You want your and it's like, it's a loyalty thing too. We see how it is. I mean, Junior don't let nobody touch his hair but Nico. Nico's been cutting his hair for 8 years. Like,
the funny part, we love that as barbers, dude. Like,
mm-hmm.
I love that. Like, for you to tell me that, like, oh, like, my son only wants Nico to cut him, you would think like somebody in a profession would be upset about that. Like, no, dude, we love that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me, I love that because he's not only growing up around people who love him or that that love you, obviously, with you and Nico's relationship. But for him, he's growing up and having a personal barber from he was a baby to, God willing, until he gets older.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing, man. Like, we love that.
Yeah, it's a journey. Like, again, we go back to, like I said, my daughter. Like, my daughter's 14 years old now. I was bringing her to the barbershop with me at 3 years old, and she came until she was like, all right, Dad, this isn't cool anymore, Like,
yeah, but the thing is that, like, for me, when I first started coming is, yes, I cut my hair with Critter one or twice when he was in Mohawk, and I followed you guys to New Hartford. And then I got introduced to Nico. Nico cuts my hair, but when Nico's not there, I do trust everybody in that barbershop to give me the haircut that I want.
Oh, hands down. He's got a great team there.
Like, nobody that I was like, oh, I don't like how you cut my hair. I don't. Critter, you've cut my hair when Nico's not there. Jose, I'm Chris.
Official, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it.
But it's just, your team is so talented.
Thank you, brother.
Well respected. They all respect anybody comes in. And people feel so comfortable. You guys make everybody feel comfortable when you go, hey, how comfortable do you make me feel that I start falling asleep in your barbershop?
Yeah.
Because it's so comfortable. There's no, like, I don't have to worry about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, the crazy thing is, say Nico was on vacation and you or Junior wanted, had a wedding to go to and had to get a haircut, you'd come get a haircut by somebody.
100%, and it's happened. It's happened.
That's the good part, is that if you had to, you would. But we love the loyalty when he is there.
Mm-hmm. And it has happened where Nico's been on vacation. I've had to go to somebody else because I have had stuff come up, and that's just the trust that I have in the team that you have there, and the team that you assembled. Like, these aren't guys that you just like. They walked off the street and you gave them a job. Like, you handpicked these guys.
Yeah.
And they're all great guys.
The most of these guys, if not all of them, actually, I used to cut when they were younger. That's the crazy part.
Except for Jose.
Jose was a customer.
Even Jose's a little older than all of us.
Yeah, that's the funny part. Jose's a little bit older than me, and he was my customer on Mohawk Street for years.
Mm-hmm.
I used to cut Chris's hair when he was a kid. I cut Nico's hair when he had hair. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know Nico hair.
I used to cut Nico's hair. I used to cut Ryan's hair for years. Like, these guys were all customers that ended up falling in love with barbering and ended up coming to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
And that's awesome. That's awesome that you were able to build that kind of relationship. And I think that's just a testament to the person that you are. I've known you a long time. I've known you. The very first job I had at 15 years old is when I met Critter. We were working in dietary at a nursing home, and you know, Critter's older than I am, and Critter, I was a young kid, and he was still cool as hell to me. You know, he didn't treat me like I was a little, nobody that just get out of here, kid. Like, you know, it's a testament to the person that you are.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So, what advice would you give to someone that's looking to, at a young age, start their own business and maybe get into the profession that you are dominating?
If it's barbering, I tell everybody, man, because every young kid that hits me up says, "Hey, what should I do right now?" Like while they're trying to come up with barbering, and in my opinion, the biggest thing you can do is document your haircuts.
Mm-hmm.
Take pictures of haircuts. I don't care if they suck, dude. I got pictures from my mom's basement from I got like from 1998. Like I got pictures of a Wu-Tang logo and T-Sap's hair from 1999 in my basement.
Wow.
And does it look like something I would do now? Absolutely not. But at that time, it looked good for what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look back at that, the point is I can track progression. I could say, hey, I did this 20 years ago or 10 or 5 years ago, and now look what I did now, and now I can do it better.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing I tell young people is two things. Number one, take pictures, and number two, if you're going to do it, actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't act like cutting hair is like a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the biggest thing about making a job work. Like if you have a plan B, you're not going to work that hard at your plan A.
Yep.
Because you're always going to say, well, I could always just do this. It's like, no, man, make a plan A and make it work.
Yeah. You don't want to fall back on something because then, like you said, you're not going to put as much effort into doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so take the pictures. Obviously, I know I saw you do it. You've mentored people, so is that a good way to do it? Like, find somebody that you're close with, or find a barber that you're cool with and you've gone to a lot. Maybe talk to them about getting in and being an apprentice with them. So how does one become a barber's apprentice? That's, as long as I've known you, like, I don't know how any of this works.
So here's the deal: you can get your license one of two ways. You can go to barber school, which
Mm-hmm.
there's some locally now. I know there's one in, like, I think in Oneida or something is the closest one. There's one in Albany, New York, Rochester. You can go to barber school for like 6 months and become a master barber.
Mm-hmm.
What I did was I was an apprentice for 2 years under a guy who went to school, and after that 2 years, I took my master barber test and got my license like that. So that's how I was able to apprentice Jose, Vin, Ryan, Nico, all these guys into getting their master barber license.
Okay, so if you are a master barber and you take on somebody as an apprentice, they don't have to go to school for it then? That's basically, is there a certain time frame that they have to be an apprentice? 2 years? Okay.
2 years, yep. So you can go and become an apprentice and do it for 2 years. And the good part about that is while you're apprenticing, you can work in a shop and you don't have to leave your hometown.
Oh, okay.
So the reason why that's good is because I apprenticed under someone who didn't have to go to Rochester, which was the closest barber school at the time. And had I gone out there, I would have had to work a regular job and then do the barbering thing during the day.
Mm-hmm.
Where out here, I did my apprenticeship, was still at home, and was working in a barber shop, gaining local clients. So by the time my apprenticeship was up after 2 years, I had already established the business and went and got my master barber license.
Okay.
So if it was somebody trying to get into the business, I would just say talk to, like you said, if they have a regular barber or they they want to talk to. I give advice to people who don't even want to come work with me.
Mm-hmm.
I've had young barbers hit me up and like, hey, I'm working at this shop, but I have a question about this. I'm always willing to help because what am I really doing if I'm gatekeeping like business secrets or ideas for young people that want to make money and further the craft?
Yeah.
That's not helping me at all to keep those in,
Yeah, and I mean, listen, there's enough people to go around in this city to get their hair cut. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
And I will say this, like, the one thing that I've noticed from the outside is like you and the team there like do a lot to master your craft. It was a couple weekends ago. You guys went to the barber convention out in, was it Connecticut? Like that.
Went to Connecticut, all of us for 2 days, or 3 days, 2 nights, and the thing is, it's not cheap. It's like these are things that are like, to further our craft. We go out there, we buy new tools, we attend seminars, and not only that, but team bonding is so important too, to be able to just click with the people that you work with outside of the actual barbershop.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, that was awesome time, man. Like it just going out there and everybody just unwinding a little bit, and it being all about hair, but not actually cutting it. Just being around it.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome.
Nice. All right. So that's step one. Get in. Go to barber school. Get in and be an apprentice to somebody. What happens after that? Well, if you wanted to open your own business today, you saw yourself 20 years ago, what are you telling yourself 20 years ago is the next step for you to take?
What I would tell myself would just be to promote like crazy, because that's actually what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I was already promoting. I was promoting for our music and the barbershop, but like when I came out with Critter TV, that was like the biggest thing I feel like I could have done at the time, because it reached so many people locally.
Critter TV was hilarious.
Dude, it was
I
like
loved
such
it.
It was so funny. So funny.
It was such a like a different thing at the time, where like now it's like a normal thing, but at the time, like I would just tell people to promote, man, and just get your name out, because there's too many people who get into crafts like cutting hair or tattooing or any of those things that are a skill, and they don't promote it enough, and they just expect people to come to them, and that's not how business works.
Yeah.
Like my biggest thing would be to tell people promote, man, get your name out there, and you don't want to be to a point where you're annoying, but dude, I remember there was a time in my life where I'd see somebody standing in front of me in line at the grocery store, and I'd be like, and if they had a nice haircut, I'd be like, oh, hey man, where'd you get your cut? And then they'd be like, oh, I go to this person, and I'd be like, hey man, if they're ever on vacation, like, if you ever want to come get a cut, like, here's where I'm at. Mm-hmm. Now that right there, if I never seen that person in my life, they still now have heard of me from that interaction.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So just doing little things like that, like trying to meet 2 people a day, or introduce yourself to 2 new people a day, is what furthered what I think my name so much at the time when I was starting out, because I was constantly promoting.
Mm-hmm. And you promoted without social media wasn't then what it is today.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So you were on the grind, man. And I remember, because I started running with you guys like crazy when you were doing the music thing and the promotion stuff. Like, you had to grind. Like,
yeah, man.
There was no. Facebook was barely a thing. It was MySpace. Like, who's in your top 5? Like, that's.
Yeah.
So you did this without the benefits of what people have today. So it can be done in way better fashion today than you could have done. Could you imagine if you had the tools that you have today in promotion back then?
So listen, the people that you could reach now with one click is unbelievable, dude.
Yeah,
like,
it's insane.
You're talking like, I used to have flyers made. I'd have to get the flyers printed, go pick them up, make sure they were good, bring them to corner stores, go to Utica College, hand out flyers, hand-to-hand flyers, go to like sports events, like when Utica College used to have hockey nights at the Odd, go to Proctor football games, basketball games, hand out flyers. And this is all stuff that is like hand-to-hand and word of mouth, where now all the people that I reached, maybe say I reached 100 people in one night.
Mm-hmm.
If I put out a post on Facebook right now, I could reach 5,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all I gotta do is press one button, dude.
Yep. You did all this with word of mouth, which is it's remarkable
really,
to think about.
I'll tell you the truth, Fluff, I never really thought about it until someone brought it up to me in a similar interview like this a couple years back when they were like, we had this almost similar conversation, and they were like, I think it was like a year, maybe or two ago, and they were saying to me like how I started, and I never really thought about it because I don't really talk about myself like that unless I'm in like interviews, but I never really thought about it like that because to me it was just what we were doing at that time,
Yeah.
But it's like right now, like what we're talking about, clicking a button and reaching 5,000 people. Who knows, dude? In 5-10 years, I might be able to do that same thing, and it reaches every platform and gets to that many more thousand people.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
All right. So promote. So step 2, promote. When it comes to securing the place you're gonna do it at, I mean, now I don't really know how I have had this happen before. I remember getting my hair cut in people's houses. I remember you cutting hair in the basement. Like,
Yep.
Is there anything that says that you can't do that, or is like you have to have like a shop?
I'll tell you the truth. I don't know the laws about charging people to cut out of your house because say you're cutting somebody out of your house and God forbid cut them with a straight razor on accident and you don't really know them like that. Maybe you went over there with a friend or somebody's got, something going on where their clippers are dirty or something. You never know. Can somebody sue somebody for that or something? I don't know. I don't really think that like the hair authorities are like knocking down people's faces to get these people,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like you don't know if there's people in shop. You don't know if they all have their licenses. You just don't know that. That's why it's important to go to a reputable barber, or a person that you trust, because if you don't know these people and they're cutting out of a shop and still using dirty razors or dirty clippers, like you won't know that, unfortunately, until you get to that point.
So it's kind of like a tattoo type thing. You go get a tattoo for someone's house. You have potential for something hazardous happening to you. Okay, so let's say you've been cutting hair out of your basement. You've been cutting hair in your dining room, whatever. And now you want to move up and you want to go get a place. What advice do you have for someone trying to do that, to take the next step to go locate a place, and how do they go about that?
So number one, you got to get, there's two things I would start with. Number one, you got to get your DBA or your LLC. Your DBA is just that means doing business as. You have to have your name and you have to call and see if it's available. So you can get a DBA or you can get an LLC. I don't know if you guys know what all this is. An LLC is just a limited liability company, which means if you do something to someone in your business, they can't sue you for your personal things. They can only sue the business. A DBA just means you get your name, you're able to open up a barbershop, but you cannot open up a shop. You can go and open up a barbershop tomorrow if you want, but you can't legally cut hair there.
Okay.
So two things I would say is the first thing is you'd have to get a DBA or an LLC, depending on which one you look into and want. An LLC is obviously is going to cost you more money. A DBA you can get from like the state building. Number two, you have to have a plan of action. You got to realize when you open up a business, especially something that's like this, now you're going to have 2 phone bills, 2 NIMO bills, 2 cable bills, 2 insurance bills. You're going to have all of these things now when you open up a business, because you already have a cell phone and you already have insurance on your house or apartment or whatever it is, your car. Now you're going to have 2 of all of these things. So you have to have a plan of action. In that, I mean, like writing things down, having a notebook that says, okay, I can afford this, and this amount per month, and this is what I'm able to spend. Because if you don't have a plan of action and you get into business and then you're like, holy shit, it costs way too much money to operate this business and I didn't know it was going to be like this. Now you're kind of like stuck in the middle, not knowing where you can go with it,
Yeah. Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the plan of action is one of the biggest things because that way you can determine how much things are going to cost uh, or what it might be. You know, like I thought when I opened up a bigger shop, like, dude, I say all the time, obviously my bills went up because I went from going half with somebody to owning the place and
Mhm.
having to pay for everything. Dude, I
Mhm.
thought like my first year, I'm like, oh, I'll make my money back in my first year and I'll have a bunch of booth renters. It didn't work like that.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not mad about that because I was able to build the team I wanted over a year's time. But going into it, I thought like, oh, I'm gonna have this in like the first year, you know,
Mhm.
very naive to it, and you know that showed me it wasn't that way.
Okay, so um do you think it's do you think somebody should find someone with similar interests to try to do it together at first, or do you advise just
I
collaborating on your
wouldn't
own?
recommend somebody who hasn't been doing just goes and opens up their own place.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you why, because it's very hard to, like I said, I worked for 8.5 years as partners with someone before I even considered opening up my own place because I had to work for that long to save up to get something bigger, you know, and I didn't know how much it was going to cost or anything until I had a plan of action. But for I definitely, in my opinion, could not have opened up in 2002 with a place the size I have now.
Mhm.
I don't think at all.
Yeah.
Like because it would have just been overwhelming. I would have been constantly worried about getting barbers in there, or who's going to cut, or are people going to come and pay the rent, or you know. So I would say if somebody is interested and they want to get into it, whether they be partners with somebody or they go on apprentice with somebody and then eventually open their own place, you got it. It goes back to the old adage where they say you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And um obviously, it helps you build up your clientele, and
Yeah.
you get that massive following that can follow you to wherever you decide you're going to go.
Yeah.
So what did you look for? So I don't even know the answer to this question. Who is the first person you hired at the next level? Who was the first member of the team?
When I first opened the shop, it was Jose and Ray Carparelli. I don't know if you remember Ray.
I'm trying to think if I remember Ray or
So
not.
Ray was with us for a little while before he went to the army.
Mm-hmm.
It was Jose and Ray Carparelli. It was us three, and then when Ray left for the army, within that next year, Chris was just getting out of barber school.
Mm-hmm.
So Chris came in with me in January of 2011. I opened up in August of 2010. Chris came in with me in January of 2011, and then Nico came in that same year, I think in like May or June.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jose had left for a little bit to work his full time job at Walmart, and then
Wait,
distribution.
hold on.
And then
Was he working with Alana? Did they work
with
together?
what?
Was he working with my daughter? Did they work together?
Oh yeah, they might have been. I don't know. She was
That was wasn't it one of the jobs she had?
She said she was tossing 42-inch TVs off the truck.
Yeah. All right. So Zay leaves. Zay comes back. Right.
So they left. Zay came back. So now it's me, Zay, Nico, Chris, and then a couple years later got Vin in,
Mm-hmm.
and then just kept building from there. Got Ryan Walsh in.
And I remember when Ryan started there as an apprentice.
Yep. Then Mark came in, then John Key, then Logan. And the cool thing, like, look at Logan, for instance. This is a kid whose hair I was cutting at 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? This is a kid I was cutting his hair at 3, 4, or 5, and I don't see him for a couple of years. And the next thing I know, I see his mom posted on Facebook, "Oh, Logan's going to barber school." I messaged her immediately. I'm like, "You better have him call me as soon as he gets out of school."
Mm-hmm.
He did, and now he's working at the shop doing excellent.
And that's awesome. Like, you watch the kid grow up, cutting his hair and stuff, and then mom didn't even have to reach out to you. You reached out yourself to say, hey, like, have him come here when he's done. Like, that's awesome that you are willing to take that on, because I mean, listen, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if he's going to come out of barber school and be good, or if he's going to be me, who tried to buzz their hair once and ended up having to shave it. And what qualities were you looking for in the guys when you hired them? Like I said, I love every guy in that shop. I think they're an amazing group of guys. Everybody's friendly. Everybody gets along. We all break each other's chops, especially during football season. So what were you looking for when you brought the guys in?
So I look for three things when I'm hiring barbers. Two of them I can help you with. One I cannot. The three things that I look for are skills. Skills is going to be number one because you want to have good barbers. I can teach skills.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I want to have somebody who has some type of clientele, because while they're building up on walk-ins, they're going to want to have some people to keep them afloat. Number three, I would need them to and love them to have drive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, drive is the only thing I cannot teach. I could teach skills. I can teach you how to get clients and retain them. I can't teach you drive. Drive is either in you or it's not. I don't care if you're a hustler, you'll hustle in New York or in Alaska or in California, you'll be a hustler.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, I can't teach you that. So drive, in my opinion, is one of the most important. If I can get somebody with drive and skills, I can do the rest.
Mm-hmm.
I can get them clients. Somebody who has skills and clientele, it's going to be tough because they're going to be lazy and not have drive. So those are the three things that I look for.
And I think the drive thing comes, and we do a lot of talking about parents and how they raise their kids. And I would say your drive obviously comes from your family and your dad, God rest his soul. And I think you as parents have to teach that to your kids. And if you don't have it as an adult, then that's one place that your parents failed you.
Yeah.
And you know,
real quick, Fluff, this is the funny thing about hard work, is because my dad never told me in his life to work hard. He never told me, you got to work hard. You got to work hard. You got to work hard. He never said that to me, but I always seen him doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I never had to hear that from his mouth. I just watched him do it. And to me, that was like a way of life. It wasn't like, he had to tell me every second because I had already seen it,
Yeah. And I think that's what gets lost now is, I came from my mom. She busted her ass. Like, I saw my mom did it never. Same thing. My mom didn't say, "Oh, you got to work hard." I watched my mom do it. I watched my mom as a nurse be gone on weekends because she made sure we had a decent life. And I think I said it a couple weeks ago, where we struggled, but we didn't know we were struggling.
Yeah.
And you came in afterwards, but me and Pete were talking about earlier, and going back to sports, and I know your kids do sports. When it comes to like how parents treat like coaches and officials and stuff like that, and this goes into the same thing. Like, your kids are gonna act how they see. If they see you like being a slack off and not working hard and not showing that you have to work for things, they're not going to do it. If they see you being disrespectful to coaches and officials, they're going to do it. And I think that's the sad part with a lot of people today is they don't put on a good example for their kids. I feel like it's our generation and the generation after us. Just a lot of people don't put on good examples for their kids. Whereas our parents, I feel like, they're that older class. They were the 50s and 60s kids, and they instilled a lot of values in us when it came to working hard and being respectful and treating people right.
What's funny about what you said about when you don't have money, when you said you didn't know that. It's funny you say that because I've also said before that my parents, when you're poor you don't know it, and when you're growing up you don't understand like classism, middle class, upper class. You don't really understand what those things are until you start to get into older and start to understand a little bit more. But I say all the time, dude, like my family didn't have money, but we had love. I had 3 siblings, and my parents, like my dad didn't have money, or my parents didn't have money, but they still were always there. Like they were no matter what it was, my dad showed up. You know?
Yeah.
So that's why like the money thing can't really be an excuse for anybody to not be a decent human being, because there's people who aren't making a lot of money who are still raising excellent kids.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I said this last week in the big conversation we had. Like, money can't buy back time, so it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're missing everything with your kids, that's going to stick with them. And you're just going to, all you're doing is, it's going to be one of two things. Your kids are going to look at it and do the best they can to not be that kind of parent and make sure that they're there for their kids, or they're going to be the reflection of you and, just work themselves to death and not be there for their kids when they need them to be.
Bro, I heard something a couple months ago that said the only person who was going to remember you working overtime in 20 years is your kids.
100%.
Because how people are like, yo, I bust my ass, I work so much, I'm a hustler, I do this and that. It's like, bro, that's not impressive if you're missing time and missing things, you know?
100%. And not so much in your line of work, but and what me and Pete do, you do see that in big time businesses. Like, you're replaceable. Like you with what you have, you have a very small, close knit group of guys that everybody's personality is different, and to replace that personality would be a chore. I mean, you'd find somebody, but you wouldn't get that same person. And what we do, you're easily replaced. You're just a number. They will find another body to come in and take care of you, and that is a great thing that you said. Like, you're right. In 20 years, when your kids are older, they're not going to care what you did. How many hours you worked when they were a kid, and that you worked 20 hours overtime, 40 hours overtime, 50 hours. They don't want to hear that. They're going to know that you missed their prom. They're going to know that you missed their graduation. They're going to know that you missed, anything special to them. They're going to remember that you missed it.
Yep.
It sucks.
Yep.
It's a sucky feeling.
And don't get me wrong, there are times that you're going to miss these things. But the real important things, and I said this last week, Critter, I don't know how much you've actually followed and been able to see what we said. Certain things you cannot miss. Like, you only get one of certain things, and you cannot miss that one time. Like, it's never going to happen again. If it's something that, they go through it every couple, then so be it. But you only get one high school graduation. You only get one senior prom. Like, you only get one last, sports game, whatever it is, whatever sport they play. You only get one last one. To miss that, that's going to stick with you.
Yeah.
And
those are important, man.
Very important. But again, so is showing your child that a good work ethic is important too.
Yeah.
But you have to teach them a balance.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I have that conversation with my kids now because, thank God, man, like I busted my ass in my 20s and 30s, and I still do work a good amount, but I'm completely brought down my hours from then. Like in my dude, I'm talking like in my late 20s, early 30s, I was doing like a couple 10-12 hour days a week, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I look back now, I'm like, no way, dude. Like, I'm so appreciative that I was able to do that before my kids were born and while they were still really young, so that now while they're, while they were 7 and 5, 9 and 7, and now 12 and 10, I can do those things with them because of how much that I put into it in my 20s and 30s,
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel you on that. I mean, what I did for a line of work for a while, and I just recently got out of that. But
you mean like when you were with the Mexican cartel? That one?
Yeah. Shh.
Oh, my bad.
I don't need ice showing up at my door.
Orale!
Hey, flip, adios.
It's the hard work that I had to do and the stuff that I did have to miss when they were that age has paid off, and now what I'm able to do and live a normal life and have a better quality of life with my kids and I won't miss the more important things that are older. Like that was the biggest thing. Like I didn't want to miss stuff when they were young, and I used to throw a fit about that because at the time, I was a single dad. Like I didn't have, somebody else to go and do these things in my place, and now luckily I do. I have my wife takes care of things when I can't be there or I couldn't be there, and now I can. So that's very beneficial. But I was able to work hard and further my career to where I am now that I wouldn't miss the most important things when I'm older. I won't miss senior prom. I won't miss, high school graduation. I won't miss junior's last football game. Stuff like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man, to be able to be at those things, and to be present. And you know how it is, man. You got kids that play sports, dude. Like if you ever watch your kid play sport, when they make a tackle, when they make a basket, when they kick a goal, they look right at you.
100%.
100%.
Dude, dude. My daughter, she's not even like she played basketball for a season and wasn't even really into it, but started to come along with it and started to get a little bit better. And one day I'm just watching her in the layup line after a couple weeks, and she's just going. And every time she misses a layup, she dribbles right back and gets right back in line. Every single time, Fluff, that she made a layup, she looked right at me.
Mm-hmm. And
every single time.
I deal with that with junior in football. Man, no matter whether it was flag now or it was Pop Warner, like he looks to me. Even though I'm coaching him now, with his first season, I didn't coach him, and he, we worked on stuff at home, and he would look to me to like, all right, so like, what do I do? And I don't know if it was like they got sick of him doing it or what. But they're like, hey, you want to come coach with us next year? So maybe he'll fucking pay a little more attention, and it's paid off. But you're right. Like that's what your kids do. Your kids look to you on the sidelines to see what your reaction is. And this past weekend they had playoffs for flag, and my son's team lost, and he came off the field and he was crying, and I was just there to console him. And it wasn't like I was overly consoling him. I was like, hey, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Like this is warm up for football.
Yeah.
You know when it's going to hurt? When it's your last one. That's when it's really going to hurt. Right now, it sucks. You don't like losing. I love that. And I said, me and Pete said this last week, and all the guys, and you want your kids to win. You want your kids to want to win, because if they don't want to win, then they become complacent, and they're going to be complacent in life. You want them to strive to be better. So yes, you want them to be upset that they lost, but you don't want them to you don't want it to break them down to the point where they want to give up. Yes, you don't want them to give up.
Think about this, dude. Think about anything in life. If you were to build a snowman half-ass, how would it look?
Mm-hmm.
It would look stupid. You know, like and that's what I told people about my son not wanting to play football last year, because he wasn't sure if he wanted to play, and he was just kind of like, I said, you know what? If you're halfway about it, then you ain't playing, because football is the last sport you could half-ass.
Yeah, like that's how you get yourself hurt or somebody else hurt.
Yeah.
So that's good to that you were able to be like, all right, yeah, we're not doing this. Like,
I told him straight up, like, listen, if you ain't 100%, you ain't in, because you go out, like, he played safety, and I'm like, yo, if you ain't paying attention and a guy blows right by you, or you miss a tackle because you ain't fully into it, that's the problem.
Yeah. Those of us who are on TikTok, I appreciate the 7.5K likes. Thank you. If you're just joining us, we are live. It's me and PJ this week. Everybody else is busy. Tubbs in the chat. I don't know what he's doing that he can be in the chat but not be on the show.
Don't get me going.
Yeah, we'll discuss that with management later. We got Critter Maldonado on. He is the owner of the Next Level Barbershop here in our area. We just had a nice conversation with him about starting your own business. Critter started when he was young. Jesse, thank you for smashing the like button. Send the bill to my wife. So Critter, I've been saying for the last couple weeks, and I kind of caught some flack for this, and I want to see, as somebody who was brought up in the same time period, again, by hardworking parents, I have been big on teach your let's take your daughter out of the equation, okay? When it comes to your son, teach your son, or teach our young men to be wolves and not sheep, and I think it gets misconstrued. We're like, I had somebody saying when I had said it on Facebook a couple weeks ago, oh, you're pushing masculinity and that. Well, yeah,
What?
yes, I am pushing masculinity because guess what?
Yeah.
I don't want my son following someone around doing something stupid when if he's a leader or he's a wolf, he's not going to do that.
Right there, Fluffy. You just said it.
And I see in my line of work a lot of kids following kids doing dumb things, and it's costing them their childhood.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've been telling my kids since 2 and 3 years old to be a leader, and that doesn't mean try to be better than people or try to tell people what to do or try to be a bully. It just means that you can make your own decisions.
Yes.
You don't have to do anything you're uncomfortable with. I've told my kids since day one, you don't have to do anything you're uncomfortable with, and you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. Is there going to be some things in life, whether it be work or things we ask of them that they don't want to do that they have to do? Absolutely, because that's life. But I'm talking about, like you just said, your boy's hanging out with some of his boys, and they're like, "Hey, let's egg houses." It's up to your boy to be like, you know what, man, like these people got ring cameras in this area. That's probably not a smart idea.
Use your brain.
And it's something that I've been preaching since day one, that I don't even put it into the masculinity or the femininity, feminine versions of it, because if you just tell them to be a leader, whether they're a boy or a girl, hopefully they just make those right decisions because of that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I'm totally on board with that. I'm not sitting around telling my son to go chop wood in the backyard with an axe and a flannel on and be a man's man. I'm not doing all that, because guess what, man? We live in a time now where you have to understand both sides of it. And especially if you're going to get married, or like having a daughter, Fluff, having a daughter, you have to have a different understanding of women or girls that you probably didn't have before you had a daughter.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know for me, dude, like I grew up with 2 sisters, countless girl cousins, and was around girls that I was friends with my whole life. But how I view women and how I view girls after I had a daughter, completely different.
Oh, absolutely.
Completely different.
Absolutely. Infidels in the chat saying, make them work in a coal mine. I like it. So I want to pick both your brains real quick on going back to not really the masculinity thing, but boys being boys. When did we get away from allowing boys to be boys in school, allowing them to run around recess and play football and like I guess I can see the side of it as, well, the schools are worried about lawsuits and people getting hurt and stuff, but it's like these parents, okay, are the same age as you and me, probably.
Yeah. This
is what we did in school. So what is the like we went out to the playground, we roughhoused, we played tackle football in the field. Like, when did we get away from allowing boys to be boys in school? And then when they act like that, they just get like, oh, they've got ADHD, they've got this, they've got that. Yeah. No, they're being boys. You know how much energy a young kid has? Not even just a boy, like in general, a young kid. Like, you're asking them to bottle up and not be a boy. And I don't understand
You know why it's so funny you're saying this right now? Because I just saw something yesterday that showed a cartoon picture of a room, and it showed a bunch of kids in the classroom with the teacher standing over them, and then it showed one kid outside the classroom, and it showed like a cartoon sun in the sky, and it showed the kid running and playing and smiling, and they showed the 4 kids in the back, and the 4 cartoon kids in the classroom, and they were all like looking like zombies, like looking down at their work.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw that yesterday, so it's crazy you're asking that today, because you look at it and you're like, man, what happened? Why are we not letting these kids get that energy out? And then when they're sitting still and they're like about to burst at the seams, we're like, oh, they're bad kids.
Well, yeah, and I mean, Kurt, you see this at the barbershop. Like, my son bounces around like a ping pong ball.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how he is in school.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, why are we not allowing these kids to
Just be kids.
just be kids? Yes, just be kids. And
I wish I did know why. I don't
and
know why.
so
There's a lot of. So I think the problem with this is because there's. So when we were growing up, like I remember, I used to go out, hang out with my friends in the street, play basketball in the street, um, baseball right on the street. That I didn't have to be in. We all played outside. Back in the day, people understood kids. They were having fun. Nowadays, in our generation now, there's too many kids that are delinquents, because I think they have a rough life growing up, and then that's what they grew up with. And people are quick at judging any type of kid. It doesn't matter if the kid's good or bad. People will judge any kid.
Yeah.
And that's the problem when you see in the cartoons. A lot of people want their kids to be focused all about school and not letting them be kids.
well, yeah, they want kids to be robots now.
Yeah.
So, good point. Good point. Infidel just made in the chat is that when something happens in school, parents now they don't even call the school to talk to the school about it. They're instantly going to social media to blast the school.
Yeah.
And I think, and I've said this for a while, social media is just the downfall of everything.
Yeah.
Like these are problems that we didn't have when it comes to like, kids getting bullied and stuff like that. But like if you had an issue with somebody in school, you can get away from it when you were a kid. When we were kids.
Yeah.
Now you can't.
Yeah.
But I think it amazes me how our generation as parents have turned our kids. I don't know if maybe like certain people, like teachers were too hard on them, their parents were too hard on them, and they couldn't handle it. And now as parents, they're like, they coddle their kids. But again, if you, I said this the other day when we were leaving Junior's game, uncoachable kids become unemployable adults.
Yeah.
And I've seen that all over before. Like, if you can't handle as a kid or teach your kid to be able to take a little heat, be able to handle a little adversity, they're not going to be able to do it when they're an adult. And now you're just adding to the problems that we have overall as a country and a society that is too dependent on, getting handouts.
Yeah.
So,
That's
the problem nowadays. Kids don't struggle like we did. We grew up struggling.
Well, no, now even in school, like you get a 55, they're like, "Hey, you passed."
Yeah.
Well, it's the whole participation trophy era.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, hey, well, fourth place is good enough. What are you teaching somebody by telling them fourth place is good enough? You're teaching them not to try hard.
Yeah.
Because fourth place is good enough. Like if you were to say, hey, man, second place is the first loser, they're going to be like, oh, damn, I'm going to work harder to get to first place next time.
Yeah, and that's what it is. You want your kids to work hard. You want them to work harder to improve themselves. Because throughout life, that's what's going to happen. You're just going to improve yourself as a person.
Yeah.
And sitting there and saying, well, you know what? It's all right, guys. We got second place. It's okay. You can't win them all. You're right. You can't win them all. But you want to teach them that you want to win them all.
Yep.
You want to have that mindset that you want to do better than you did last time.
For what you want.
Exactly. Like you have to put the work in.
You know what it feels like though, Flo? It feels like sometimes that like schools are pretty much just training people to stay in line.
Yes.
That's what it feels like. It feels like they're like, hey, listen, do what I say because I said so, instead of saying, hey, let's see how good you can do by me helping you. You know, like teachers, the teachers are supposed to help children, but instead it's like, sit here, eat at this time, go to the bathroom at this time, leave at this time, and then be back here at this time tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like they're doing that to finally say, hey, now that you're all done with this after 12 years, now you have to go somewhere else and do it again for 4 more years. And when you're done with that, then you got to do it for the next 50 as a 9 to 5
Mm-hmm.
and stay in line, or else there'll be consequences.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like they're saying.
And I feel like
Back
they
to
just
the robot thing. That's like creating a robot.
Yeah, and I feel like they don't allow kids to think for themselves when it comes to, like, I totally disagree with, now that I'm older, looking back at like what we learned in school, like a lot of it you didn't even need. Like, you know, like teach these kids how to be workers, and there's not a lot of workers anymore. Like there's not a lot of hard laborers anymore, unless you come up in like a hard laboring family, like you know, construction, or, you know, infidels, like the coal mines, like stuff. Like these kids, nobody's just going out looking for that job.
Yeah.
You know, and that's because, like you said, they're getting indoctrinated to be like 9 to 5. This is what you get. This is, you know, go to school, do this. Oh, the college is $100,000 for what? You know, and it's sad, but again, it's the era that we live in, and parents need to do a better job of stepping up and making sure that, okay, I can't 100% controls on what goes on in school, but when you're out of school, like, I'm going to teach you how to be a good human being, and I'm going to teach you how a good work ethic, and I'm going to teach you how to treat people.
Well, that's the thing. That goes back to what we were saying about being a leader. You know, like, it starts at home. Like, if you're at home and you talk to your kids about race and finances and politics, like, those are things that you can have conversations with them at home that they don't have to go to school and have arguments with people about, because they've already talked to their parents about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like, I've been teaching my kids about race from day one. Like, listen, nobody's different than you. I don't care if they're black, white, Asian. I don't care what they are. Like, nobody's no different than you. That person could be coming from the same thing, worse or better than you. And that means nothing if you get along with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts at home, man.
100%. It 100% starts at home. Infidel made a good point in the TikTok chat. He said, the problem that you see with these young kids is, again, we're gonna go to social media, but these kids see these young kids making 6 figures playing video games, jumping on and streaming and all this other stuff, and then that's all they want to do. They don't want to do anything else. And, like, yes, I'm doing this now, but I'm not doing this to make money. This is like, I enjoy this. This is a good time. It's a hobby. I have to come out here and bullshit with my friends. I like to play video games, whatever. But there's kids that, like, oh, I'm gonna be a YouTuber. I'm gonna be a TikTok star, like, and that's all they think about. You know what I mean? And you can't get them to do anything else.
That's crazy.
You know, luckily my kids don't fall into that. They each do something, but I do see that a lot. Where, I mean, I see people walking into things because they're filming themselves, like, you know.
That was my oldest son, Dylan. He was like, "Oh, I want to be a YouTuber. I'm gonna make money." And I said, "But let me tell you something. You think these YouTubers didn't start with a real job? They had to get a real job to get money, to buy the system, to build everything they are. And, like, right now, they're probably making good money because they worked hard to get to that point." I said, you don't just start making videos.
But the problem is they think it's going to be overnight too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That goes back to, they don't, you know, you got to put the work in. Like, you got to be willing to, like, listen, I just do this. We do this show once a week, and when I tell you, as soon as we get done tonight, I'll be thinking of what we're gonna do next week, and that's just for one night.
Yeah.
So, like, could you imagine doing this 7 days a week? Like, I couldn't. Like, and that's why I don't think a lot of people, a lot of kids today, again, they're used to just things being handed to them. They don't, even something as simple as this is a lot of work, you know?
Yeah.
And same thing, it falls on the parents. Like, teach them work ethic. Yeah, that's fine. You want to do that? Absolutely, you can try and do that, but this is what you're going to do first.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to clean the yard up. You're going to go do this. You're going to do that. And we're going to make sure that you've done everything that you have to do, the hard work that you have to do, and now this is your fun time. Now you can figure out what you want to do for your next stream.
Yep.
But I
So
think
what? Go ahead.
no, you're good. You're good. Go.
And I was going to say, like, so what? How do people tune into this to listen to what we're talking about? Like, what platform?
So I have this. We broadcast on TikTok every Tuesday, and it goes on Twitch as well. And then I also had the replays were available on YouTube, but now I've set up a YouTube now to where it's going to broadcast right to YouTube, and I even went as far to I now have it on Spotify.
Nice, man.
That the replays will be up on Spotify. Again, this is just dude, you know, when I come into the shop, I'll sit there and bullshit for hours, like if I could.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we all have something to offer. And especially us in our older age now, which is crazy to say. I think we have a lot to offer, and there's a lot of young dads out there that I think can learn from us and not looking at their peers, because a lot of their peers are, I hate to say it, and I'm sure I'll piss people off, but a lot of their peers are doing it wrong. I think that just like we look to our parents, the new generation needs to look to people like you and people like PJ and me and AJ and Cito and all of us guys all still work hard, and all of us guys still take care of our family. You know, none of us expect anything handed to us.
Well, that's the goal, you know, too, is to be able to provide for your family, you know, and I think that gets lost in the part where people think that they want to get in, like what we were talking about these kids overnight, just thinking, oh, I'm going to get 1,000, likes in 20 minutes. And it's like, well, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean for you or your family if you're like you said, not taking care of them or not involved, and all you're worried about is getting to this overnight, and like you said, we're still working hard and taking care of our families, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that's the one thing that if I could tell somebody who's like, you know, first time having a kid, it's just like, just be prepared. Like, be prepared to work your ass off. Yeah. And just make sure you set the example of what you want your child to be as an adult. Yeah. Because they're 100% going to, whatever, you know, like Pete said earlier, when it came to like the parents arguing with their coaches and screaming at refs and all that, your kids are going to act how you act. Attitude reflects leadership.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, Infidel definitely. Infidel said agree. He agrees with what we're saying, but definitely go out and chase your dream. 100%, 100%. Set a goal. But be prepared to work for that goal.
Well, like I said about working on your plan A, you also no matter what it is you're doing, whether you're opening up a business or chasing your dream, you have to be realistic as well. Mm-hmm. Like you said. Like, how many kids want to be YouTubers that have 20 million followers, and how many are going to actually do it? It's probably one in every what? Who knows how many kids, you know? So you got to be realistic. Mm-hmm. But chase your dreams, yes, but you have to be realistic.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes right back to like even playing sports. You know, like you got to be realistic. Like, you got to work hard. Either way. If you want to, you
gotta put in the work.
Exactly, and if you want to go somewhere, yes, then real quick, Info just said like instant gratification. Yes, this generation is built off instant gratification, and if they don't get it, it's the end of the world. Yeah, but like, I love to use sports analogies for anything. So if like you want to do, like, sports can teach you, like, if you want to do good in life, if you want to work hard in life, that's what you have to do in sports. If you want to, like, hey, I want to go play college football someday, you think it starts when you're a senior in high school? No. That work ethic and the amount of work that you have to put in starts a long time before that. So if that's something that you want to do in any kind of sport, you have to start that young. And no, I'm not saying like be a slave driver and stuff like that, but there's different things that you can do to one up yourself versus somebody else. Yeah. And the same thing when you have a goal in life, like, you're going to have to work for that goal. Critter, you wanted to be a barber. You wanted to own your own place. I've seen you for, God damn, it's hard to even say this. I've seen you for 25 years.
Yo, see, here's the thing, man. I don't feel as old as you think, as you portraying us, man.
I mean, I did a little bit of different line of work for 10 years that aged me significantly.
Yeah.
So, but for 25 years, I've watched you bust your ass to have the business that you have, to have the clientele that you have, to have the team that you have. And Jesse, Jesse's in the chat, and she said, owning your own business is a lot of dedication and work, and you've put in the dedication and the work for 25 years, and you're still doing it. Like 25 years later, it's not like you just like, oh, great, I got a business, I got a crew, I'm good. Like that's what needs to be instilled on today's generation is that, guess what? You work hard, you'll get your goal, but you have to keep working hard for it. You can't just, you can't come complacent,
It's not having a business and not working. There's people that just, I own this business, but you don't see them working. I go into that barbershop, Critter has that business, but he still busts his chop, cutting hair, no matter what.
So you know what I used to always tell people about music stuff? Like people don't understand this because they think everything with like music and rappers is all like glitz and glamour. To you guys' point about what you're saying about having to still work hard, I used to tell everybody who wanted to do music or who did music, you have to write the songs, you have to record the songs, you have to mix the songs, and you have to have them sent out and packaged, and that's when the work starts.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who think, oh, I'm going to make an album or I'm going to open up a business and it's going to take off. But that's when the work starts, is when you get to the point that you work so hard that you get the job done, and now you have to further that job.
Yeah, 100%. Infidel made a good point. Like, you got to figure out what's worth your, trading your time for.
Where's this Infidel at, man? We got to get him on the line.
No, dude, I love this guy. He's I follow him on TikTok. He's been following me, and it's the first time we've actually been able to get him in, to watch the show. So. But yeah, you 100% have to. You got to figure out what you can give up. It's a balance. Like, what can you balance out in your life to be able to achieve your goal? Some sacrifices are going to have to be made. Obviously, not all of them. But if you think you don't got to work once you're there, if you think you're at the finish line, it's not the finish line. There's never a finish line until the day you decide to hang it up.
Yep.
Lot of tears and sweat. Yep, that's right, Jesse. A lot of tears and sweat. And going back to what PJ was saying about watching you work, like, I will say this: no matter who walks through that door, either you or one of the guys greets them. You don't just let them sit there, and you definitely make everybody feel welcome. And it's your business. Like, how would it be if somebody walked in and you're just like you're just sitting there like, oh.
No, that's crazy, bro. Someone said that to me one day. They said, I was cutting their hair, and a couple people must have walked in and out while they were there, and they heard me, how you doing? Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. How you doing? So finally, my customer says to me, yo, do you ever get tired of saying that to people? And I'm like, dude, never. Like, I always want to do that, because whether the person comes in and doesn't say hi back, or they just give me a head nod, or when they're leaving, they might just give me a quick wave if I tell them have a nice weekend. I don't care what it is they say back, but they know when they left that I said
it. They acknowledge what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they know that I said something to them, or that one of us said something to them, to acknowledge them and to show that they're there and that we appreciate them and that we're gonna speak to them no matter what. So I told my customer, like, I never get tired of that.
No, I mean, like, the day you get tired of it, probably be the day that you should be done. And I don't, like, you're doing what you wanted to do in life. A lot of people have goals that they can't get to. I mean, listen, you know what I love to do, dude. You know I love to cook. I love to do barbecue. It's a realistic thing for me that I'm, maybe when I retire, I can have my own little food truck and do that. But you are doing what most people don't get the opportunity to do, and that's to do what you want to do for your life. This is
So let me
what
ask
you wanted to do.
Let me ask you this real quick though. It seems like you got a like pretty great feedback before about that stuff. Like, what's stopping you from trying to go full force with that? Is it the hours, or
Well,
are you
it's
scared of?
no, it's I got to tell you, it's not the hours, because I know just from when I do my meals and stuff, when I cook meals for people, the amount of time that goes into one single meal, and I'm not cooking multiple things. And it's really just, it's a financial thing. I have a very good job. I have a pension that I will get when I retire. It's not something that I would so easily give up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be able to provide a nice life for me and my wife. And I work for the state. Okay, I have great benefits.
Plan A, like
Yeah,
Critter said. That's the plan A.
yeah, and unfortunately, that's not my plan A. The barbecue thing. It had it in a different life. It could have been. I enjoy doing what I get to do every now and then for everybody. But the life that I have due to the career that I have now is not something that I can so easily give up, because it would not be good for my family. Even my dream is my dream, but what's best for my family is the job that I have.
Yeah.
Hello, Steven. Yeah, Infidel, man. Listen, I don't disagree with you one bit. It is very easy to make excuses when it comes to why you can't do certain things, but like I said, the unfortunate part is the life that I have because of the job that I have. I couldn't just give that up, and it would vastly affect my family.
You said, maybe when you retire, you'll be able to do it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like that's something like down the line. If it was if the opportunity arose, I would 100% do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't at this point in your life and at your age, I don't really think it's an excuse for you to say that. Not saying he was saying you're making excuses, but I don't think that that's an excuse. Like, I could see if you were 20 years old and you're like, no, I just don't have the time. Like, you're not 20 years old right now, you know?
Yeah. God, I couldn't even remember what it would be like 20 anymore. I remember being 20 and somebody be on Nico's roof. That was all I remember. A lot of good times back then. But yeah, like you, let's see, it's scary to give everything that is stable up and work for yourself. Never an easy day. So, my brother and my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law are in, and they said it's they both do their own business type thing, and it's it's scary to work for yourself and make sure that it's stable. And, like I said, you've been doing this 25 years. When you first started out, you didn't know that this was, but you also started young. Like, you started before you had a family, before you had a wife and kids, and you could fail at that age and be okay. Now it's a little harder to fail at our age and say, okay,
And get back up.
and pick yourself back up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're young, you fail, you still have time to get back up.
Yes.
When you have a family, you fail, it's hard to get back up because you got that family to take care of.
Yeah.
You still gotta try to get back up, but it's not as easy when you were single and no family.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So Infidel just said in the chat, he's got a buddy who was a crane operator offshore and decided to start his own business and is thriving. And listen, that for some people it works. For some people it works, and it goes the way they want it to go. But I like to tell my daughter this all the time. Like, every decision I make based on my kids and my family. Like, how is this going to affect them? And me saying, hey, you're going to go from a $75,000 salary and a pension and all this other stuff to, I don't know if I can put gas in the car next week. Like, that's a big change. That it's not, the reward would be good, but the risk is not worth it at this time for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but Critter, I do want to say, I really, really appreciate you coming on, giving the insight into everything. I appreciate you hanging out afterwards and getting on our dad rant that we like to get on. So if you are in the local area and you want a pristine haircut by a great group of guys, I would recommend anyone in that shop. Next Level Barber Shop in New Hartford. Definitely go check them out. Critter, thank you for being here. Like I said, 25 years I've known you, and my brother-in-law's in there, and he's saying like you took care of his boys. They're in Florida now, but like you cut his boys' hair.
Yeah, I remember.
And his boys they're older now. They're they're men now, so it's like it stays with you for life. When you have somebody that you used to go to all the time to cut your hair. And I don't know how it is for women, but I know as a guy, like that kind of shit sticks with you because like it's a bond. I don't know. It's weird. It's very hard to explain, but I think anybody that goes to a barber that's a guy, they can definitely say that. Like you kind of have this weird bond with your barber. Like,
dude. And dude, the funny thing is like, these are people who, I have customers who are invited to my wedding and customers who invite me to their wedding who I might not have even known for more than 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But we just develop that relationship and you become cool with these people and they're more than just customers, man.
Yeah. And I think if it else said you trust your barber more than you trust the local preacher. That's probably true. It just threw me so off. I love it. You can sit there and you can have a conversation in the barber shop with the guys and with your barber, and you can get stuff off your chest and it'll never leave the shop.
Yeah.
100%.
I think you used to have a sign up in the old shop. Maybe you do now and I haven't noticed it, but what happens in the shop stays in the shop. What's talked about in the shop stays in the shop. Like it's and sometimes it's you have that bond with your barber that your barber gets stuff off their chest, and it's just it's definitely something that every guy should experience. But yep, I do appreciate you coming on, Critter.
Oh yeah, man, thank you for having me, man.
So definitely check out Critter in New Hartford, Next Level Barbershop. PJ, as always, I appreciate you, brother. Hopefully next week we can
PJ,
have
good talking to you, brother.
The rest of the crew on.
Talking to you too, bro. I'll probably see you this week sometime.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta get into. Gotta get trimmed a little bit.
Yeah, that's getting long on you.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting bald, so it's fine. Nico's rubbing off on me.
He's getting those grays coming out.
Yeah, that's right. It's right there. So, all right. Anyways, thank you, gentlemen. Every Tuesday we are live on TikTok. We're live on Twitch. We're going to be live on YouTube from now on, 8:00. It's the Guys Like You podcast. I appreciate everybody showing up. Have a good week. Stay cool because it is ridiculously hot. I'm not built for this weather. Not at all. So, all right, gentlemen.
Not built for this weather.
All right, guys.
I appreciate you. Have a good night.
All right, guys. Peace, brother.